Hello and welcome to another edition of National Focus. I'm your presenter, Mervin. Thank you for joining us. Topping the headlines, a climate-proofed agriculture strategy being developed for Dominica. Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt's Carried calls for a collective approach to nation building, and the graduates of the Adult Education Division's programs speak of its impact. Stay with us for details of these and other stories right after the break.
If you can believe this,
come by my house and let me show you some movies.
why can't you believe this? Some mothers don't believe their own children when they say they've been sexually abused, and they don't report it. Remember, if anyone asks to see or touch their private parts, touches them inappropriately, shows them or forces them to touch one's private parts, has sex with them, shows them pornographic material, or deliberately lets them hear or see the act of sex, then it is sexual abuse. Believe your child and report the sexual abuse. For more information about child abuse, contact these agencies. This message brought to you by UNICEF and this station.
Welcome back. Time now for the details of the news. The Ministry of Agriculture is on its way to developing a climate-proofed agriculture strategy which will allow stakeholders within the sector to be more climate smart. The new strategy, to be developed before year's end, will ensure that climate change adaptation is systematically integrated into core programs, policies and activities of the Ministry of Agriculture. On Thursday, a wide cross-section of Dominican farmers, planners and policy makers met at the Public Service Training Center in day one of a two-day workshop to draft a strategy for two subsectors, namely greenhouse vegetables and roots and tubers. Local climate change consultant Tahisa Hale, who is trained in geology and geographic information systems, is working with the Division of Agriculture in developing the climate-proofed strategy. During the two-day workshop, Ms. Hale will use methodologies proposed by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development to guide the process.
The whole idea of the training material is to understand and identify the appropriate approach for integrating climate adaptation into policies. So for Dominica, we do not have a policy or we do not have a strategy for agriculture. So we're basically starting from scratch. And the strategy that we're hoping to develop is going to be climate-proofed from day one.
The Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture is lending valuable technical support to the project.
We expect our planners, our technicians, people involved in policy as well as strategies, including the local government plans, to really incorporate adaptation strategies, adaptation methods in designing some of these strategies, in designing these plans, in designing these projects, as to safeguard, as we call it, to climate-proof the sector, which is very vulnerable to the effects of climate change. As such, ICA, under its competitive funds, the Funds for Technical Cooperation, has awarded support to a project entitled Reducing the Impact of Climate Change on Agriculture. And basically, the project seeks to strengthen institutional capacity to promote climate-smart agriculture in the Caribbean regions.
Dominica's Director of Agriculture, Ricky Brumant, has fully endorsed plans for the development of a climate-proofed strategy. Brumant, who spoke on behalf of the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, said the ministry will continue to work with farmers to make their holdings more sustainable, increase their agricultural productivity, and reduce their vulnerability to climatic shocks. He shared some local statistics as it relates to the impact of climate change on farmers' crops.
We have seen the significant loss that farmers have realized, and the country itself, in terms of loss of GDP, in terms of reduced foreign exchange earnings, because of the impacts of climate change. There are instances where the agricultural sector have record losses of $100 million because it would have destroyed significantly the agricultural sector. And it's not $100 million for a country. but it's monies that add up from the farmer standpoint. It's monies that is taken away from what the farmers would contribute to his livelihood, to his home, to his children, to his health, to his insurance. And that is where we are at. So climate proof in agriculture is not just accidental. It's something that is significant. It's something that is important, that when farmers do things on farm, when we at the Ministry of Agriculture plan that we consider risk mitigation. We consider reducing the risk involved in doing business.
Dominica and 5 other Caribbean countries are participating in this project. It is expected by November, Dominica's first draft of the strategy will be complete. The final draft is expected to be finalized by December 2013. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit wants all nationals to come on board in an effort to foster nation building. The Dominica leader made the remark during his address at the inauguration ceremony of the 8th President of the Commonwealth of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savre, at the Parliament building on Wednesday.
It is good that we each have the freedom to comment and criticize, if needs be. But criticisms alone will not take Dominica forward. We need builders. We need people who are willing to bend their backs and produce meaningfully for the benefit of the country. Our distinguished new president, His Excellency Charles Savre, bent his back and produced meaningfully for Dominica. So did his predecessors. So do thousands of you on a daily basis. But for Dominica to advance and prosper, it will need not some, but all Dominicans working and giving fairly of their time, talent, and energies to the development of this country. Today, we salute Charles Savre on his elevation to the office of President. Next month, we shall highlight the contributions of other Dominicans who have also given selflessly of their time, energies, and resources to the building of this country.
Meantime, President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savre, in his maiden address at the Parliament building on Wednesday, called on nationals to respect the opinions of each other and to strive for positive dialogue.
It is healthy for there to be a continuous dialogue on various points of view, but in doing so, we must strive against creating the impression at home and abroad that we are a people at war with each other. The Commonwealth of Dominica Constitution Order 1978 guarantees the fundamental rights and freedoms of all citizens and prescribes the institutions of the state for the good governance of our country. Citizens have a voice through the Constitution, but the voice given is neither unfettered nor unlimited. It is to be exercised in accordance with the limits imposed by the said Constitution and the laws of the land.
In more news, graduate of the interior decorating component of the Adult Education Summer Program, Karen Burnett, has applauded the Adult Education Division for its role in enhancing the lives of young people and adults across the island. Burnett was addressing the national graduation ceremony of the Adult Education Division last week at the Arak House of Culture.
One of the objectives of the Adult Education Division remains to provide the necessary expertise relevant to nation building, to help people become self-reliant and independent, thus improving their standard of living. In a complex, modern society, citizens must be knowledgeable and educated. And since learning is a lifelong process, persons must continually acquire new and better forms of knowledge that they can apply to work and also to their daily lives. This will enable them to become better citizens, contributing and participating meaningfully to the social and economic development of their community and society in general. The Adult Education Division provides young persons and adults with that opportunity to improve their level of education by gaining further skills needed for career and personal advancement. Adults want to apply their knowledge in a particular fashion, and they want to know or need to have certain expectations that the knowledge and skills gained will help them further their goals and in some way add value to their lives. That's just what we experienced at the Adult Education Program this year.
Meantime, Shadi Burnett says she has achieved positive results at the CSEC exams as a result of her experience in courses provided by the Adult Education Division.
I have attempted 3 CXC subjects, namely Social Studies, Principles of Business, Principles of Accounts, all of which I have passed with 2 grade 1s and 1 grade 3 in accounts. I must say, okay, thank you. I must say that this experience was a very good one since I was engaged in work at the same time pursuing the courses, so it was a bit challenging at times, but nonetheless I did it well. My courses were from 5 to 7 p.m. twice weekly. For me, I must say it was very beneficial in that the subject areas that I didn't know anything about, I got some knowledge in. As well, it has helped me to manage my time better. In addition, I can say that it has really given me practical experience to prove that work and learning can happen simultaneously.
In more news, Energy Minister Honorable Rayburn Blackmore says government remains committed to provide transparency and involvement of all stakeholders as the administration continues to develop its geothermal energy program. The minister gave the commitment as he addressed members of the local media on the heels of last week's Development Partners Forum.
You may have heard a reference made to the effect that consultation for the other process that we're spoken about, insofar as the drilling of the 2 full-size wells, one production well and the injection well. We have already started the assessment for that. And a couple of weeks ago, we had the first consultation in Trafalgar. And next month is going to continue, so that in itself demonstrate our commitment in ensuring that the process goes forward. As I've said before, and you heard from the Prime Minister, the priority will be given to the concerns and the needs of the people of that catchment area, that's the valley.
And the 11 journalists participating in the 2013 Reham Al-Farah Journalist Memorial Fellowship started the second phase of the experience on Monday when they met with Director General of the United Nations in Geneva. While the details of that meeting is off record, Dominica's representative GIS's Jana Hector reports that the conference titled Geneva 2 to discuss the humanitarian situation in Syria is planned for November. The expectation is that a consensus will be reached on the elimination of chemical weapons in Syria. That session will be attended by the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, that is China, France, the Russian Federation, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Other attendees are the Secretary General's Special Envoy to Syria, Brian Mead, and the Secretary General himself, Ban Ki-moon. The Director General advised the journalists to highlight the work of the UN in their respective countries and to pursue a deeper understanding of the organization. The meeting was the first of 5 which took place on the first day at the United Nations Geneva headquarters. The journalists were also briefed by officials of the International Labour Organization, the World Food Programme, and the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. The 11 journalists embarked on the fellowship program on September 2nd, and the program ends on October the 4th. This year marks the 33rd year of the Reham Al-Farah Memorial Journalist Fellowship. And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Allô tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole, non moins c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, un workshop national qui a mis attention à ce changement climatique et puis manière ça affecte l'agriculture qui prend place en Dominique semaine cela. Ministre Agriculture, AICA et puis Environmental Coordinating Unit qui a branché facilité workshop là. Sinon, directeur Agriculture Ricky Brumant, workshop là qui a tapé manière agir et puis changement climatique si le secteur agricole.
L'idée climate change avec nous, avec son but nous pour garder one nous pour faire santé comme que habitants pays là avec d'autres mon pays là connaître ça idée climate change qu'a fait avec nous. Nous avons tout le temps bagaille cyclone, nous avons bagaille flood, nous avons bagaille autant soleil qu'a tué plan nous avec qu'a tué dawe nous so nous voulons dire dominicain qui dominicain FSC habitant là comme quoi yo ni pour faire quoi yo connaître contre ces bail ça yo ni pour faire certain yo mettez ces bitins ça là à dans plan yo là yo ka plan pour cochon yo pour bête yo pour dachin yo pour banane yo comme que yo mettez activité qui pour faire certain qui bagaille cyclone avec vent avec l'eau avec soleil pas détruit ça yo fait
yon consultant Taisha Hill ka wan sipop workshop là
workshop ça qui di ICU qui travaille ensemble avec le ministère de l'Agriculture pour workshop ça. Mais nous, avons un consultant, un jeune Dominicien, Taisha Hill, il ne pas travailler avec nous, Dominique, un projet ça, mais il travaille avec la vallée 5 pays en région là, un même projet là.
En autre nouvelle, le gouvernement Dominique et puis Brésil, c'est agrément qui concerne les ressources de l'eau. Agrément cela c'est semaine passée et puis ça a été facilité par Embassy Brazil en Dominique. Directeur Agence Corporation Brazil Fernando Abreu, c'est ainsi contre Brazil pendant le ministère Management Ressources de l'eau Honorable Reginald Ostring, c'est ainsi contre Dominique. Agrément là qui voit échange technical Brazil et puis Dominique en management de l'eau. Ministère Ostring fait parole qui a fait qui affecte de l'eau, rangement cela qui assiste le management de l'eau Dominique. Et aussi remercier Brésil pour assistance à cela. À la nouvelle, messieurs, mesdames, le gouvernement Dominique a mis un unit de développement en place pour disséminer informations qui concernent le projet géothermique. Parole cela sortie du ministre de l'énergie, Honorable Reuben Blackmore.
Après, nous avons sorti à management unit. Et nous avons development unit. Development unit to kaki sa. Every unit sa nous kan ni mon every experts public relations experts ubati wells bagay kon sa. Every expert là public relations qui ba information pour tout le monde Dominique. Every mon loda, mon chafolga, mon watwevun every what Dominique. So tout le monde qui ça pour ça
Et puis finalement, le directeur général OECS, Dr. Len Ishmael, bien encouragé le travail du gouvernement Dominique qui concerne le projet géothermique. Dr. Ishmael fait parole cela pendant qu'il a attendé un forum géothermique qui prend place en Dominique la semaine passée. Ishmael a gardé le plan gouvernement Dominique qui a autant de vision pour le développement du pays. Plan géothermique pour la Dominique bien significant et puis un seuil qui plie large en région là. Plan géothermique Dominique c'est un qui a tapé priorité nationale en bas growth and social protection strategy. Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non moins, c'est McPherson Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up next, your tip of the day.
Do you have uncovered water storage drums around your home? Do you dispose of old tires, cans and old containers capable of holding water anywhere in your environment? Are you being bitten by mosquitoes, particularly at dusk and early morning? Do you keep houseplants in water? Do you spend your hard-earned cash to control mosquitoes? Has your community experienced dengue fever outbreaks? If your answer is yes to at least 3 questions above, you are at risk to dengue fever. Join the fight against dengue fever. The responsibility for a dengue-free Dominica lies with you. So, get rid of the Aedes aegypti mosquito.
Today we bring you 2 simple ways of keeping depression away. Get enough sleep. Having less sleep increases your chances of being depressed because when you are in bed and taking sleep, your brain is actually resting and developing and your body is repairing itself. Sleep of only few hours makes you fresh, healthy and depression free. Taking 8 hours sleep is best to get rid of stress. And exercise. Exercise is the best way to keep you active and your brain healthy. Exercise helps your body to produce endorphins, which keeps your body fit as well as happy. The daily gym is not important, but at least try to walk 15 minutes daily. It will help to keep you in a better mood. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website at news.gov.dm. On behalf of the entire news production team, I'm Mervin Matthew. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.